The web eater, a delicate figure wrapped in threads of flesh, suspended and cocooned in the air, drifting in the wind, gently swaying back and forth, to and fro. The web eater, consumer of spiders, the grand dreamer and another of the agency's best assets. She weaves her threads and then consumes them, reading where the threads reached. Thus, as she feeds, she foretells the future. The agency relies on her to give advanced warning of when creatures or items emerge in our world, both beneficial and highly dangerous. She also warns the agency of dangers to itself, from external and internal factors, with every single one of her warnings proving to be accurate. The web eater isn't pleasant to look at. Her figure is that of a skinned woman, her form wrapped in exposed muscle fibre. Her eyes have been removed, her arms fused to her torso, and her mouth completely stitched closed. She is suspended by the fibres in the air, and those fibres fade into nothingness the further they reach from her body. She claims that this is because her webs reach both into the past and the future. It is also what keeps her restrained. Thus it appears as she floats in the air, resembling a pinned butterfly. How does she share her visions of time with the agency? Well, Madame Eater has the ability to speak into the minds of whoever is touching her web, projecting the sweetest voice directly to the person's brain without causing any harm. She guides them to a portion of the web that stretches out to infinity and tells them to rip off a specific portion. The next part is a little disgusting, but those she talks to have volunteered with full knowledge of what she's going to ask them to do. She asks the person to eat that portion of the web. When they do, they'll forever memorize the prophecy that the web eater has seen. Past or future, it lets the agency make changes and improve things for the better. The number of lives saved by Madame Eater is uncountable. Her predictions have prevented worldwide disasters. So devouring pieces of the web eater is worth it. The web is composed of her flesh after all. Examining a piece that she allowed us to take for analysis shows that the webbing is comprised mostly of muscle fibre and nerve endings. This means that it's very likely the web eater can feel through her web. Have you ever had a raw nerve or muscle exposed to the air? That feeling can be beyond agonizing, and under the right conditions can drive a person insane. That the web eater has hundreds upon hundreds of these strands constantly exposed is a testament to her strength. She has assured our more squeamish volunteers that the pain she feels is but momentary and doesn't linger. The agency has concluded that she is lying, but tries to respect her wishes, to remain silent on the constant sacrifice she makes to keep people safe. But that is not the end of it. Once consumed, the webbing torn from the web eater will not grow back. There must be a source of fuel in order to regenerate the material to its previous state, which means that Madame Eater must be fed. It is a good thing that her primary source of nourishment is easy to acquire. To heal her flesh, the bound woman must consume spiders. Large ones, small ones, the particularly venomous ones are effective in aiding her healing. It is no coincidence that the agency base where the web eater resides is also one of the largest spider farms in the world, where all breeds of spiders are bred and raised with a single purpose in mind, as a sacrifice to the web eater. How it works is that the spiders will be placed all over the web eater's body. The placement doesn't really matter as long as they are alive and moving. As they do so, the web eater will start animating her strands, slowly unraveling them. As they do, they start to lighten and crystallize, emitting a sweet, musical sound. That music is caused by the friction of the crystallized ligaments rubbing against each other. Something will take over the spiders, and as one, they'll start spinning their web around the crystal. They'll keep on spinning all over the web eater's body until, one by one, they'll die from exhaustion. Their final act as they die is to encase themselves in web as well. The whole time, the web eater will be singing, and the tendrils will intertwine with the newly spun webbing. Then, slowly, the song will stop, and the crystal will regain the appearance of muscle tissue once again. The spun webbing will make this change as well, and when it's done, the web eater will be at 100% once again. No signs of missing flesh at all. The web eater herself will let us know when she needs to have her webbing replenished, which is usually around once a month. Before we had to ask, she informed us that only spiders will work. And no, she will not tell us why that is. She claims that the story of how she became like this will be told one day, but today isn't the day for it. Just that it's a really sad story, and it doesn't need to be told at this moment. Considering that she's been absolutely perfect with us since the moment she arrived in our protection, the agency has decided not to push her on this, especially because she goes through so much for our sakes. We have asked her if there is a way to free her from that fleshy cocoon, but she has warned us that if she told us how and we released her, a great tragedy would occur. It's hard to not want to free her, but sadly, the agency must be pragmatic with matters like this. Who are we to say that the cost of countless lives being saved, the suffering of a single brave woman, is too much? It may not be pleasant to have to think about intentionally leaving her up there like that to suffer, but it is an example of the greater good taking precedent, no matter how much it sucks to have to practice.